Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite you to take a trip with me back to yesteryear. We're going to go back to the days of Brother Jeffrey Darty under the old revival camp meeting tent. Back to one of my oldest teachings, one of, I think, my best teachings, some of my best work. And that sounds a little bit weird to say some of my best work is about kissing, but ladies and gentlemen, it is. And for some reason, I can't see both me and the chat room. They want to mess up my good stuff, but that's okay. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to discuss the decline of the fine art of kissing. And please don't shoot the messenger, just like Johan came in. That's his name. And I am seconding that. Please don't shoot the messenger, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing the best that I can. And we're going to bring you something that, although I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek, a little bit silly, I think it's very, very important. I think it's vital. I think it is enough to change not only lives, but it's enough to change us even on a societal level. And it's certainly enough to help improve relationships and to help improve, I think, the world as a whole. And hey, I'm just here to do my part. And like Power Vapor Supply says, there's nothing wrong with Hershey's Kisses. So I'm not going to be able to monitor the chat room very well because for some reason it doesn't want to cooperate with me, but that's okay. I'll lean on my moderators to kind of keep things under control. I wonder if you like my mood lighting. Since we're talking about kissing. And I used to give this little sermon to when I first started being an evangelist, I was doing a lot of youth meetings, statewide youth meetings, citywide youth meetings, and they would have me come in and preach to the youths, the teens, you know how that goes. And I would get up there and preach to them about the decline of the fine art of kissing. And I had many a pastor get very, very, very nervous when they heard me announce my subject, and some of them would remain nervous right through into the end of the sermon. That's because many pastors are very, very small-minded. I don't think I'll have that problem with this audience, but you never know. So if this bothers you, you might want to do a review, maybe a checkup from the neck up and see what the heck is wrong with you, cousin. I'm just kidding, but not really. Here we are. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fine art of kissing. And let's start with the golden age of kissing, if you will. Now, we could go way back, but let's try to keep it into a modern context. So at least some of you can grasp this figure. And I think that even those of you that are young, you've at least heard of the 1950s, right? Well, America was a very different place in the 1950s. And the world was a very different place in the 1950s. And in the 1950s, when guy meets girl, and guy asks girl to go down to the diner and have a malted and have 2 straws and go for a walk or go for a drive, it was a different world. The default expectation in the 1950s was that prior to serious dating relationship, almost prior to engagement, prior to marriage, there was this default understanding. And this default understanding was enforced by people with last names of Winchester, Smith, Wesson, Remington, and fathers that owned these and would still use these. If you have to Google those names, go ahead. You'll get what I'm talking about. But there was this default understanding that there wasn't going to be any sex happening in terms of intercourse. There wasn't probably even going to be much Bill Clinton definition of sex going on. It was just a different time. The default, and I'm not saying that pregnancies didn't happen in the 1950s out of wedlock, but look at the numbers, cousin. Down here in the 50s, way up here now. And I'm not bashing on anybody that got pregnant out of wedlock. You know, things happen. But maybe we're working on some information here that can help things not to happen, because other things can happen. Stay with me, and I think you'll know what I mean. So in the 1950s, guy meets girl, they go out on a date. Guy knows that there's no expectation of sex taking place. Girl knows there's no expectation of sex taking place. Guy knows that if he ever has even the faintest hope of anything more than kissing taking place, he knows one thing. He's got to be a damn good kisser. He's got to get really good at it. He's got to work. He's got to practice. He's got to think. And the girls, well, they were in a really, really good position, because the girls knew that nothing was going to happen. They had that default understanding, and please don't get on me, but it still happened. I'm talking about overall. Girls knew nothing was going to happen. And it created a very interesting scenario. When a girl knows that a boy is not going to be trying to undo her bra, take off her skirt, hands up the dress, then she's able to enjoy, appreciate, fully participate in kissing. And when a guy knows that Mr. Remington, Mr. Smith, Mr. Wesson, Mr. Winchester will be giving him a personal, up close and personal visit, if any of that stuff does intend, or if he tries to make any of that stuff happen, he learns how to be a damn good kisser. And I think that in learning how to be a damn good kisser, he gets to enjoy the experience of kissing. And the girl gets to enjoy and fully participate in the experience of kissing without having to worry about her enjoying it being interpreted as, I'm ready to go all the way. Are you with me so far? So the men know that's all that's going to happen, so they get really, really good at kissing. The women, confident that's all that's going to happen, get really good at enjoying kissing. And of course, since they can fully participate without worry of sending a signal that, come on in, pardon the pun, they get to enjoy kissing as well. So what you get is this, at least what I'll call the modern golden age of kissing, where everybody knew what was going to happen, and everybody knew all that was going to happen, and everybody was doing their best and giving their best, and everybody got to enjoy the high, fine art of kissing, the glory days of kissing, the golden age of kissing, making out, necking. It was all being done, cousins, and it was being done at a very, very, very high level. And times were good in the days of the golden age of kissing. And think about this on a biochemical level. There was a lot of endorphins being released. There was a lot of oxytocin being released. Think about that. Lots and lots of oxytocin being released. We talked a little bit about oxytocin yesterday, not knowing I was going to talk about this today. So very interesting. And moderators, please keep a tight rein on our chat room, since I can't look at it. What does oxytocin do? Oxytocin creates pair bonding. Oxytocin binds girls to boys and boys to girls. It binds women to children, children to moms. So what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Is it just coincidental that in 1950s, the divorce rate was probably less than 20%? I bet it was less than 10%. I should look that up. What was the divorce rate in the 1950s? Do you mind? I hope I don't make myself look stupid, but that very rarely happens. Divorce rate in the 1950s. 19. I'm sitting here in my mood lighting and I can't see. Divorce rate in America in the 1950s, 144 years of marriage and divorce in the United States. Yeah, sometimes I'm brilliant. Sometimes I'm brilliant. Wow, this is good stuff. If I can read this thing. It's hard for me to read this. Oh, here it is. How do I read this graph? Well, anyway, one thing I can tell from the graph is that in the 1950s, divorce was about not even a quarter of what it is today. Do you think that maybe all of that oxytocin being released from all of that kissing and all of that necking and all of that making out was making for longer courtships and was making for less unexpected, unwanted pregnancies? It was making for more pair bonding and was making for more men starting to dig girls and more girls digging guys for longer times? And do you think that maybe the fine art of kissing contributed to divorce rates less than 1/4, way less than 1/4 of what they are today? Do you think? Maybe? I don't know. That's speculating. But then comes the 1960s. And things begin to change in the 1960s. And I'm not passing any moral judgments. I don't think I am, but I'm trying to identify trends and realities. Here comes the 1960s. And of course, some people were great with this, but I don't think all people were great with this. And if you look at the work, I think it's David Swanson wrote the book about where was the place, the valley, where Manson and all the guys were. Anyway, talking about how the hippie movement was probably a government orchestrated, government funded, and government rolled out movement. And it wasn't really this organic, homegrown thing that happened because people wanted it to happen. It was planned and it was perpetrated upon the American people. This whole sex, love, and rock and roll, sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of thing. And then when the 60s came along, things started to shift. All of a sudden, guys thought, hey, maybe even on the first date, second date, something much, much more than kissing could happen. So kissing started to become a little more than a diversionary tactic. The only reason that guys ever paid attention to kissing in the late 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, up until now, was kiss long enough to try to distract the girl so she won't notice that you're trying to undress her. And then girls got to the place where, in response to that, they couldn't fully engage in kissing, because if they fully engaged in kissing, it was sending a message to the mind of this man that it was okay to do more. That default understanding that there wasn't going to be full-blown sexual intercourse wasn't there anymore. And the more that here's the high art of kissing, here's the expectation for sexual intercourse early in relationships. As this goes up, this comes down. It's a constant analogy. As this, oh, I can get sex, so I'm going to pay less attention to kissing. That's, guys, let's say, look at it from the male point of view. If I can get sex, I don't have to spend so much time kissing, learning, concentrating, controlling, because I think I can get kissed. Now I can get sex, so I'm just going to kiss as much as I need to distract her. From the woman's side, the expectation of sex going up in the man's mind, and I guess the woman's mind too. I'm a little bit chivalrous in my thoughts of women, but men are expecting sex, so I can't continue to fully enjoy kissing, because if I do, he thinks I want to do more. And as his expectations for sex go up, her ability to fully enter into and enjoy kissing comes down, where now, because he's just trying to use kissing as a diversionary tactic. She's not able to enter into it anymore. She's not able to enjoy it anymore. At least not like she did when the expectation for sex was way down here. So what kind of a world does that create? That creates a world where, think about this. Do you think the oxytocin released through kissing is different than the oxytocin released through full-blown sexual intercourse? Do you think it's different? Think about the energetic implications of that. I think it's way different. Way different. Think about the energetic implications. Okay, here's oxytocin, but oxytocin is a chemical, but it's being delivered in an energetic body, a subtle body. Think about what kind of energy is that? If you're talking about boy meets girl, kiss, neck, make out, that's pretty innocent energy. There's got to be a correlation between the biochemical energetic release and the spiritual, emotional, intellectual biochemical release, even though it's not biochemical, you know what I mean? There's got to be a correlation between the spiritual and emotional and intellectual and the biochemical. What's it feel like? What's it taste like? What's it look like up here with kissing? And what's it look like down here with full-blown sexual intercourse? Can I suggest to you that one is balanced and one is unbalanced? If we look at it in spiritual terms, one is light, one is dark. Can I suggest that to you? Check this out. When a woman is not worrying about having to put out, let's just use the term, she's not in fear, is she? She's not in stress. She's not in worry. Do you think that the bonding is more or less when you're not worried, when you're not fearful, when you're not worried or fearful? And is the bonding when you're not worried and fearful different than the bonding when you feel like you're being taken advantage of and feel like you're doing what you got to do? When you feel like you're being used or taken advantage of, do you think it feels different to bond during lots and lots of kissing and necking and making out and being valued? Or is it more powerful down here when it's just, when you're, oh, remember our scripture yesterday? Do not give that which is holy to the dogs. Ladies, don't give that which is holy to the spiritual predators. Do you think it makes a difference? And then men, there's predatory women out there these days. How does it men feel? Don't cast your pearls, your sacred pearls before sows that are just looking to get laid. Did I say that out loud on a Sunday afternoon? It makes a difference. It's got to make a difference. You know it makes a difference. So today we live in a world in 2018 where kissing is we're living in the full decline of the fine art of kissing. It's in complete abeyance. It is as low as it's ever been. The fine art of kissing is so low, it's got to bounce up to touch bottom. Men only use kissing as a diversionary tactic to distract the woman long enough to get her naked and do things that instinctively she doesn't really want to do. And I know some of them do, but I'm talking again in generalities. And I'm speaking to the people that care right now, not the people that don't. And I just lost my train of thought. Yeah. There's no emphasis on kissing from the men because they know, why waste my time kissing when I can do some other stuff? And women literally can't afford to enjoy kissing anymore. Because if you're a girl and the guy starts kissing you and you really start enjoying it, that's taken as a signal that you're ready to have sexual intercourse. It is. It's taken as a signal that you're ready to have sexual intercourse. You can't really get into it and enjoy kissing. And as a result, men are missing out on the joys of the fine art of kissing because it's fun, it's great, it's powerful, it's enjoyable, and we're just individually we're missing out on that. Women are missing out on that, and then societally we're missing out on the oxytocin, the pair bonding, the bonding to each other on high levels, and now we're bonding to each other on dog levels and sow levels. Up here with the fine art of kissing, we weren't given that which was holy unto the dogs. We weren't casting the holy pearls into sows. And it's different energetically, and the numbers are there to show divorce rates in the teens. And men weren't any less stupid in the 1950s. Women weren't any less whatever they were in the 1950s. And now we're binding down here on the dog level, on the sow level, and on the dog level. And we got sow and dog results. Even you high and mighty Christians, over 50% divorce rate among you guys. Can it really all go back to kissing? I suggest that yes, it can. I suggest that yes, it can. I really do. And I think I've got the answer. Should I go in the chat room now and answer questions, or should I finish this up? Let me ponder for a second. Let's finish this up. Let's take a look at something. What's better than a whiteboard? A virtual whiteboard. So let's think about this a little bit. I like this better the other way. Let's look at this, think about this a little bit. This over here is the type of sexuality that you're engaging in. This over here, I couldn't get this to write up and down. So imagine that this axis over here is intimacy, and this over here represents the sex. And this little line I'm going to draw represents the intimacy of where it was. Say this is high intimacy over here, sacred intimacy. This is no intimacy down here. Profane sexuality, mundane sexuality, sacred sexuality. Let's talk about intimacy for a minute. And I'm not talking about physical intimacy. I'm talking about intangible intimacy. I'm talking about knowing someone. I'm talking about understanding someone. I'm talking about knowing how someone thinks, how someone ticks. I'm talking about knowing their spirituality. Think about it. When we were up here in the fine art of kissing, there's a lot of talking and interacting going on during the times when it's high art of kissing and when there's none of the low art of, I'm not going to say the word, but you know what I mean. And that's not that that's a low art, but you're with me. So when you're in the, when you're doing the make out and the necking and the kissing, lots of talking, lots of bonding, lots of getting to understand, building a lot of intangible intimacy. All you're really getting is to kiss, and even though this is the silliest term ever, maybe some light petting, right? A little touchy feely here and there. Stop that a little bit. You know, come on, let's be honest. So there's a lot of time to talk. There's a lot of time to understand. There's a lot of time to get into each other's brains. And since we're spiritual people, get into each other's spirits to understand who we are, what we are, how we are, what we think, how we think, why we think. And not just be warm for each other's form. Because think about today, most of the intimacy is built down here, not up here. Maybe that's why the divorce rate's up here and the people that make it are down here, because there's few people that live in this world. There's few people whose intimacy is built in the fine art of kissing, and that innocent world, all the intimacy that's there is built here. And I'm going to show you exactly why that's a problem. Think about it. I don't care how good the sex is. Let's just say that, ladies, you met a man that looks like you ordered him out of a catalog. Fellas, you met a lady that looks like you ordered her out of a catalog. Perfect. Everything you want. Everything you want. Hair, eyes, face, body, everything you want physically. Boom, 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 boom. Doesn't usually happen, but let's say it did. This chick is your checklist, top to bottom, A to Z, front to back. This dude is exactly what you want, top to bottom, A to Z, front to back. I don't care if you meet him when you're 20 or when you're 50. Physically, things are going to decline. What happens if he gets in an accident? What happens if she gets in an accident? What happens if he gets sick? What happens if she gets sick? What happens if they just plain get old? We're all going to get old. And I don't care if you're 25 today. I don't care if you're 11 today. Or if you're 111, 10 years from now, you're probably not going to be as physically proficient as you are today. That's unfortunately what happens with aging. Now, some of us age a lot slower than others. Please don't get split hairs with me. Physicality is always going to decline over time. There's accident, there's illness, there's injury, there's disease, and there's just time. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Father Time is undefeated. You are going to decline over time. So if your intimacy is built on physicality mainly, your intimacy is going to decline over time. It ain't going to be as good as it was, ever. Even Toby Keith says, I'm not as good as I once was. Of course, he said I'm as good once as I ever was, but that's not my point here today. But if your intimacy is built on this intangible, what's in his or her mind, what's in his or her heart, what's in his or her spirit, what does that do over time? It increases, doesn't it? It gets stronger, it gets better, it gets more. That intimacy builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. Wow, that's true. So what difference does it make where we have sex? I'm glad you asked. Now we'll go to our little chart. I hope I'm not boring you. So let's go to our little chart now. Let's get this stuff out of the way so I can do my do here. So I want to have my thick line, and I want to draw with this line. Okay, so what I'm talking about over here, what I'm drawing is a line of intimacy, okay? This is intimacy. So you just met, and you're talking, you're doing what you do, and he's got a good line, and she wants a good time, and you have sex way down here on the profane level. You just meet, you have some sex. Guess what? Your intimacy, your intangible intimacy, it stops. And I'm suggesting to you, and if you're honest enough to look at your past life, that once you have sex, once you have sexual intercourse, and you have it in this level of profane, hookup, dog and sow level, that intimacy, that intangible intimacy that you, whatever level your intangible intimacy is at, when you first have sex, your intimacy will never, ever go up. And because it's built on physicality over time, your intimacy is going to go down, 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 down. And some of you are saying, oh, crap, that's my life. What if you meet and you hook up and you hang on a little bit longer and you get up here and, well, you have sex up maybe in here? It's not profane anymore. You didn't hook up on the first night. But guess what? You're locking yourself in. And over time, just like these people over here, your intimacy is going to go down because it's built on physicality. And it keeps going down, 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 down. But something is magic right here at this sacred level. There's something magic at this sacred level, ladies and gentlemen. There's something magic right here. Because if you decide that you're going to have a sacred relationship and you're going to engage in the fine art of kissing. You're going to engage in the fine art of knowing each other. You're going to engage in the fine art of getting to know each other. You're going to take it slow. You're going to take steps along the way. You're going to learn each other's mind. You're going to learn each other's heart. You're going to learn each other's spirit. And then boom, we'll make this like a star here, because this is where you decided, okay, let's have some sexual intercourse right about here. Guess what? Because you crossed this sacred threshold and made it into the sacred threshold, guess what your intimacy continues to do? Because it's not based on profane physicality anymore. It's not based on profane physicality and mundane, yeah, he's kind of cool, she's kind of cool. It's based now on sacred, I love her spirit. I love his spirit. I love her soul. I love his soul. And once you cross this magic sacred threshold right here, once you get, let me do another line. Once you get past, we'll do a skinny line and we'll do it black and see how straight a line I can draw. Once you get past the sacred sex threshold, once you pass that line, now I'm getting fancy. See if I can go back and do this right again. We're going to go back to this color, and we're going to go back to this little doodad. So once you exceed the sacred line and you have sexual intercourse, guess what? The intimacy, oh, we got to go back to thick. My bad. Boom. The intimacy continues to go up, 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 and it goes off the freaking chart. It just does. How much time is there really between these two things? If you're hooking up the first night, I can't help you. You know that's not the way you want to do it. Maybe it's the way the dudes want to do it, but you don't want to do that. And how far is it between profane to mundane? Couple weeks? Month? How far is it from mundane to sacred? Another couple weeks, another couple months? It varies. Generally speaking, I've said this before, if it's minutes or hours since you met that you're having sex, you're in the profane zone, guaranteed. I mean, it'd have to be really unusual. If it's been days or weeks since you met and you're having sex, you're probably still in the mundane zone. Probably. There's exceptions, but probably. If you're into months, then you're probably into the sacred zone. So, Jeff, are you saying all I can do is kiss for months? We're adults here. We know there's hours of family fun between kissing and sexual intercourse, if you know what I mean. Let me come off of the share on that. There's hours of family fun between kissing and full-blown sexual intercourse, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Are we together on this? Are we together on this? So what it comes down to, whoops, sorry about that. Stop share. What it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen, is what do we really want? And what are we really willing to invest? And there's an old saying that if you keep doing what you've always done, you're going to get the results you've always got. So go ahead and keep having your profane sex if you think I'm stupid and crazy, and keep enjoying what you get. How's that profane sex working out for you, cousin? And if you like the results of your mundane sex, keep doing what you're doing. You'll keep getting what you've always got. But if you like the look of this sacred path, you might want to say no to this and no to this and yes to this. And let me ask you something. What have you got to lose, cousin? And really, to get back to my point, And the reason why I did this show, let's just get back to this. The fine art of kissing is meant, Scheiße. It's German for a bad word. The fine art of kissing, you're kissing. Come on, where's my fat line? There it is. Fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing. Keep going. Keep kissing. Don't give in. Fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing. Don't stop. Keep going. Keep kissing. Fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing, fine art of kissing, and then boom. Here we go. And can I just say something to you? If you will practice the fine art of kissing all the way through profane, all the way through mundane, all the way into sacred, wow, this is going to be a whole lot better because of this. The fine art of kissing makes this sacred a whole lot better. And probably if you do it the right way, you're like this. Boom. Straight up, off the chart, exponential. And I could make a phallic reference to these versus these, but I won't. But it's interesting to think about. Somebody's Googling phallic right now, and they're like, oh, did he say that? Well, I'm just look at it. Just look at it. The decline of the fine art of kissing. And let me go back here. Is it any, dadgummit, is it any surprise that our society is in the shape it's in when 90%, 80%, 75% of our relationships can be characterized by this? How many people ever make the sacred sexuality threshold? Well, according to the divorce numbers, 20, maybe 25% at most. Why are most men becoming functionally impotent? Does it have something to do with where they decided to stay? I don't know. But this is definitely the society we live in. And this is definitely, whoops, dadgummit. And this is definitely the world we want to build right here. I don't know about you, but I've had enough of this. I want some of this. It's up to you, ladies and gentlemen. The decline of the fine art of kissing. And can I do this one more time? Can I advocate for something real quickly? Can I advocate for a return to the fine art of kissing? Because the fine art of kissing puts us up here. And the current decline of kissing puts us down here. Jeff, is it really all about kissing? Convince me that it's not, cousin. Convince me that it's not. Convince me that it's not. Let me go to the chat room. I don't know if I'll have any prayer of getting through all this. I'm going to have to watch later. Even hand holding has become a thing of the past. Tracy, wow, that's so good. Do you know that endorphins are released and there's a lot of bonding and hand holding? Is there a difference between the bonding that's created in hand holding and the bonding that's created in sexual intercourse? I think so. Kissing is a priority. My boyfriend is the best kisser. No, he's not, Barbara. I know that for a fact. I'm not going to say how I know, but I'm just going to say I know. Personally, I've been divorced so long, I don't miss kissing at all. Even on The Little Mermaid, they sang about kiss the girl. How about that? I'm watching Jeff, says Trisha G. I've decided that I'm not okay with any outside interference along my life path. Okay. All the foreplay, all the wooing I can remember saying to a certain young man, whoa there. Oh, come on. Almost unheard of where I grew up. It seems in the mid-'80s, everyone started to break up. People go into marriage today expecting to get divorced. They do. People stayed together as it was harder to leave in the 50s. Well, maybe it was harder to leave, Trisha, because they were more bonded, they were more chemically bonded and more spiritually bonded. Maybe. Unmarried sex has destroyed society. Wow, thank you, Jeffrey. Kissing is the most important thing you can do in a relationship. Is kissing the most important thing you can do in a relationship? It's right up there with talking. It's right up there with talking. Snap. Kissing is bonding like nursing is for babies. Not kissing as much or less. Mother, oh, that's so good. Think of the correlations between kissing and nursing. That's pretty good. Pretty good. And I didn't even mention the word marriage. That's all men want. Kissing is confirmation of words you speak together. Ooh, I like that. It almost seems like there's nothing sacred anymore. Now there's a huge detachment in intimacy and faithfulness. You remind me of some of the song Nights in White Satin. I think that's pretty good. I never talked about this much. Truth, it's sad what happened. I would sure appreciate a man that does not believe in this earthly manner. I'm not sure what that means. Birth control had a huge effect on not worrying about sex. That's true. Oh, Tracy, I don't know if that's true or not, but if that's true, that's profound. Is it true that a lot of prostitutes won't kiss their clients? Ask your friends and see what your friends say, because I know that no one here knows that. But is it true that prostitutes won't kiss their clients? And if they won't, why? Right, because they probably don't want to get bonded to their clients. That's very interesting that prostitutes won't kiss their clients. How do I verify that? Is there anybody in the chat room that's a prostitute? No, is there anybody in the chat room who has a friend who's a prostitute and you could ask her right now or him and report back to us? Kissing is sensual, romantic, intimate. Yes, it is. This is a great topic. Yes, it is. We're in a world of fake people. We are. Most of us are greedy, selfish, and vain. Jeff, you're so on the money. Triona, I love hearing that from you. Triona's over in Ireland. So we're sisters and at least cousins. We might really be cousins, cousin. Thank you for weighing in. Dopamine when kissing, oxytocin with sex. So you get a double bonding, dopamine and oxytocin. I like it. I miss the bonding on the highest levels. Not getting it from me anymore, says Mountain Girl. Good for you, girl. This is awesome stuff. I'm so busy. I can't get away from this conversation. The new meaning, flesh is up, beast is down. I made my husband wait for 6 months and we've been married happily for 13 years. Good for you. Jeff is dropping gems. Kissing is for innocent bonding. Mothers kiss their children all the time. When you kiss between the eyes, you kiss the soul of the other person. This is spot on, Jeff. Yes, he is, Nancy. He is what? Are you calling me a Nancy? Two different things. I kiss my kids. Yeah, that's interesting. Forget kissing. People aren't even able to engage in conversation. Baby steps. What did Trisha say? Too easy to jump into bed these days. Yep. Kissing with my flame is the best. Perfect. So many phenyl estrogens and plastics and other hormones disrupt. Yeah, okay. I'm not sure what that means. 3 mouths and you're bored. Even if she's what? 3 months it must have been. The whole thing has been hijacked somehow. It really has. Investment in a person takes work and time. Jeff is a holy man, right, Pepsi? I've been called worse. Twin flames are exactly like this until their vibrations meet the same frequency. My daughter's been taken away. I'm so sad. I went to a meditation once. Hey, Best Damn Podcast. Intimacy when you're in love is the only way. It's so powerful hearing this from a man. Why, thank you, Triona. 25 years in deep love with a hubby still. Men need respect and reassurance that they can rock our world. Good stuff. Been divorced 2.5 years. Teresa, you're so right. It's really good listening to a man talk about kissing. Months between physical sex and intimacy is key. How's that profane sex working out for you, cousin? Did I say that? That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. And Bree says, listen, let's be honest. There ain't any good kissing. Bye. I love it. I love it. Bill H., shame on you. Women have the misconception that giving into sex will bond them with the guy. Let me drop a gem on you, ladies. Men play at love to get sex. Women play at sex to get love. If you remember that, it'll be one of the greatest things that you've ever heard. Ponder that for a while. Nobody talks about this stuff. Big ups to Jeff for this one. Thank you, Best Damn Podcast. My mom's back and neck hurt. Susan is her name. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, right now for Susan, back and neck. Let's try not to break YouTube this time. Back and neck. Healing for Susan. Right now. Boom. Less than 25%. Many are willing to give up easily. Not your normal Sunday. It's on there. What'd Caroline say? Caroline's always causing trouble. We may first trust with our eyes and then with our minds, but ultimately we must trust without them. That's a little deep for me. I'm a simple guy. In one kiss, you'll know all I haven't said. Ooh, good stuff. In one kiss, you'll know all I haven't said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just solved all your problems, and it only took me 46 minutes and 17 seconds. If you try this out, what's the worst thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? Eyes connect, says Olwen Young. Smell and tone of voice. And if it's doing it for you, then, oh my gosh, kissing can be profoundly glorious. Don't worry about the twin flame stuff. Amen to that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's going to conclude our trip to yesteryear. How was it back under the old revival tent, ladies and gentlemen? That's how it used to be, only there's a lot more yelling and screaming and a lot more sweat. A lot more sweat. Thank you for being here. Thank you for partaking in this. Thank you for listening to this. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And if you haven't subscribed to Cookie Doo on YouTube, please go to Cookie Doo and subscribe. I'm going to put the URL in here real quick. I forgot today with the kind of the adult nature of our little talk today, but I'm going to put Cookie Doo's URL in here. And this is one of the up and coming YouTubers. And we want to support his channel. And if you're not subscribed, just go subscribe to this channel. The content is funny. It's creative. And even if you don't like the content, subscribe anyway to encourage a young YouTuber that's doing good stuff and not doing bad stuff. Now, I don't want to belittle this show with the rods. This was important. I want to keep it on point. I want to leave you. And you know what? I really want to leave you with one more look at this, because I think this is a slap in the face for us. It's a sobering. Remember the old aftershave commercial? Thanks, I needed that. Without even any commentary. What's it going to be for you? What's it going to be for you? I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is New Cosmic Knowledge. I salute you for being here seeking after truth. I wish you love and light. And is there more love in the fine art of kissing bonding, or is there more love in the dog and sow bonding? Is there more light in the fine art of kissing love, or is there more light in the dog and sow bonding? You make that decision. It's up to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the last generation of real humans. But maybe if we get this right, we could have another generation of real humans, and maybe we could take this joint back. We are the last generation of real humans, unless and until we get busy.